myself. I don't know what I'm doing here. Let me in. Let me in!
Should you buy Stellaris Biogenesis? Let's cut straight to the answer. The answer is yes, but. The but is very important. Yes, but this patch for Stellaris is currently, at the time of recording, very unstable. I think this is a fantastic DLC, however, due to the stability issues, you may want to wait until Paradox have actually got the 4.0 patch ready for public consumption without numerous crashes to desktop. I am going to go into a lot more detail now, looking at what this DLC includes, what I think works, what I think doesn't work, and a more thorough investigation of the question, should you buy Stellaris Biogenesis? Without any further ado, let's dive in. We should start by discussing what is included in this new DLC. The first big ticket item is the overhauled Genetic Ascension. By taking the Biomorphosis Ascension perk, you'll then start a situation where you can either go down the path of purity, the path of cloning, or the path of mutation. Each path comes with its own tradition tree that has some selectable items that are flexible depending on the choices you make as you go through the biogenesis situation. The cloning and mutation options basically do what you'd expect. Cloning focuses heavily on cloning, and mutation focuses heavily on genetic manipulation. Purity, however, is all about making your pops and leaders the best that they can be. Choosing purity is a little like going down the path of the Viltrumites from Invincible. All three of these Ascension traditions come with their own advanced government authorities. For example, if you go down the cloning path, you could have a hereditary continuity where all of your leaders have backup clones, meaning that your empire will be forever ruled by the same ruler, cloned again and again and again, like the Cleonic dynasty from the Foundation television series. We then have the brand new biological ship sets. These are two distinct looking ships that also come with unique gameplay mechanics. You'll have the Mauler, Weaver, Harbinger, and Stinger class ships, each of which is somewhat reminiscent of the battleship, cruiser, destroyer, and corvette that they replace, yet ever so slightly different. And unlike regular metal ships, you can grow these ships over time to make them more powerful, turning them from juveniles into elders, which have more weapons, more defenses, and are basically just better overall. And if you choose to play with biological ships, you can choose the brand new player crisis path, Behemoth Fury, which comes with, like any player crisis path, a number of perks that will be unlocked as you progress through it, eventually culminating in you unlocking the largest ship ever in Stellaris, a truly gargantuan monster that you will get to play as, use unique abilities within combat, and eventually take on the greatest beast known to any alien in any cosmos. Of course, it wouldn't be an expansion DLC without a few new origins. First up, we have the Evolutionary Predators origin. This one locks you into the Genetic Ascension path, but only the mutation branch of it. In essence, you're going to go around slurping up the traits of other species and adding their distinctiveness to your own. You'll start the game with malleable genes that gives you a host of really quite fantastic auto-modding traits, but that does come with the downside that it costs a whopping 6 points, requiring you to pick a number of negative traits just to balance this out from the start. The adaptive evolution situation will continually progress forwards as you play through your campaign. Every time it completes, you'll get to add a new trait to your species, further expanding their abilities and giving you more and more bonuses. Wilderness is a very unique new origin that allows you to play as a planet. Think of Ego from the Marvel Universe, or possibly Mogo from DC. Your pops will start with the quite unique Wilderness species trait. This is very unique, it only allows you to live on wilderness planets, and in essence, you'll be playing this game without any pops. You'll have something called biomass, which grows like population, but in order to boost your economy, you won't actually be using pops to work jobs. Instead, you'll build new buildings and districts, and those buildings and districts will produce your outputs. It's kind of like the biological version of virtual in some ways, but limited because you need biomass to upgrade and build new buildings. Instead of colonizing, you will terraform planets within your space, and due to the unique modifier granting you a build queue capacity of +5, you can build up to 6 districts at once. This is a very unique playstyle that does take some getting used to. Starlit Citadel moves slightly away from the biological theme. To play this origin, you cannot use the biological ship set. You will start with the Deep Space Citadel technology and a Deep Space Citadel on the edge of your home system's gravity well. Right next to that is a strange portal leading to an unknown system. From that strange portal, hordes of biological monstrosities will sally forth, and you will have to defend your people and your region of space. But if you're able to overcome the enemy invaders and fly back through their strange portal, it may unlock a universe of possibility. There are a number of new civics in the game. Some of these civics, like civil education, play heavily with the reworked economic system that has come in with the free patch of 4.0. This civic replaces your precinct houses, which normally produce enforcers, with state academies that now produce educators. These state academies also give you some great buffs to your civilians, kind of the new equivalent of clerks, allowing them to produce additional research absolutely for free. Crowdsourcing is the research version of parliamentary system. Your factions will form right at the start of the game, but instead of producing unity, they'll give you more research. Genetic identification allows your bureaucrats, or whatever your bureaucrat equivalent job is, to produce society research. Combining this with some other civics, 2 more, you can actually produce research all 3 types from just bureaucrats, allowing you to kind of do away with scientists altogether. If you want to play as a hive mind, you can grab the new Body Snatcher civic. You'll start the game with 1,000 assimilated pops and the ability to assimilate other organics directly into your hive mind. You'll also get access to the Prepare Invasion espionage mission, which allows you to take control of some of the enemy star bases and planets as soon as the war breaks out, dealing a crippling blow to their ability to defend or repel you. You'll also get extra population from the brand new Smuggled Population espionage mission that is available to anyone that picks up the free patch. By putting on a familiar face, your hive mind can interact better with the single-minded individuals out there. You're going to make sure your envoys and officials take on the physical form of the empires they are assigned to. This reduces trust needed to perform diplomatic actions by 50%, gives you 2 more envoys, 15% infiltration speed, and -2 to operation difficulty. If you want to play as a diplomatic hive mind, this, alongside the empath civic, are probably the way to go. As long as you have the biological ship set, you could pick up aerospace adaptation. This lets your biological ships in orbit of friendly colonies get a discount to upkeep, and also provide bonuses in terms of build speed, amenities, clear blocker speed, and potentially job output depending on how big the fleet is. In orbit of a hostile colony, you'll actually get a massive 85% reduction to upkeep, so while you're bombarding, you're taking all of the supplies you need from the local atmosphere, and possibly local population. Lastly, amongst the new Hive civics, we have shared genetics. This one pairs really nicely with the evolutionary predator's origin because you're going to get so many gosh darn traits. For each positive trait you have, and each negative trait, you'll get 2.5% additional ship hull and 1.5% additional ship fire rate to every ship in your fleet. If you've got 10 or 15 traits, that can be a very powerful bonus. There is an increase to your upkeep, but it's probably worth it. Biogenesis also comes with 12 new port traits, including a brand new machine port trait if you're not really that into the biological nonsense. If you do decide to play as machines, Biogenesis does give 1 new civic for machine empires, the Stalwart Network. This is going to reduce your starbase upkeep, give you a nice bonus to home territory fire rate, and give you +1 disengagement opportunities, overall making it quite a powerful defensive civic. Alongside the new port traits, we're also getting a host of new species traits added directly in from the start of the game. Many of these traits are locked to specific phenotypes. This means that every playthrough now can feel unique, as each distinct category of species comes with associated traits that only they can take. For example, avians can take hollow bones, reducing their job efficiency for workers and menial drones per planet size by 0.67. Or on the better side of things, spatial mastery, increasing your effective leader skill level and drastically reducing your pop housing. Or if you really want to go all in on the avian roleplay, your creatures could be able to fly. There are 3 new city types available for your civilization: Shellcraft, Spinivore, and Wilderness. and alongside those, 3 new diplomatic rooms. We also have a brand new megastructure, the Deep Space Citadel. This is a designable starbase that comes in 3 different levels. Each time you level it up, you get more weapon slots, more defenses, and more abilities. You can also build multiple of these in the same system in order to finally create a possibly impregnable defensive setup. Multiple planets, multiple orbital rings, a strong starbase, and now multiple deep space citadels. The new portraits are reactive, there's new music, and 65 new events. And if that wasn't enough, there's also a brand new Fallen Empire. We haven't had one of these for many, many years, introducing the Hive Mind Fallen Empire, which is actually fractured into 3 separate subsections. The Growth, War, and Control splinters will each vie for your attention and give you tasks to complete. Eventually, depending on which gains the upper hand, this Fallen Empire can awaken and unify into a single concerted hive mind with one of these 3 fragments in charge. Depending on which takes charge, you're going to be in for a wild ride. Let's talk about what I think works. The brand new player crisis, Behemoth Crisis, is honestly quite a bit of fun. You're going to get access to the largest ship size you've ever seen in Stellaris, and you're going to run around with it kicking butt. Eventually, you'll meld the minds of your people with this gargantuan monster and unlock a host of fun abilities you can use whilst in and out of combat. You can even attempt to cloak this thing. Overall, it's really quite a fun, unique playstyle and offers you something quite different that I've definitely not tried before. With this, Stellaris is possibly getting closer to a MOBA, honestly. The new genetic ascension paths definitely offer you some roleplay ability and go a long way to bringing the genetic ascension up into a similar power level to the very powerful machine ascensions. However, I don't feel they're quite as powerful as the machine ascensions still, but that possibly just requires a few balance tweaks. The Wilderness Origin is a lot of fun, though it is quite similar to a virtual playstyle without, and this is the important bit, without the cap limiting you on number of planets. In fact, the more planets you have as a Wilderness Empire, the more powerful you'll be, and the more fun I suspect you'll be having. The Starlit Citadel Origin, which gives you early access to a deep space citadel, has a lot of replayability if you play it multiplayer. You see, the origin of those enemy invaders will actually be connected to every single empire that chooses Starlit Citadel as its origin. So if you want to play a fun game with friends where you'll end up connected after defeating an early game boss, this is probably going to be the origin for you. And speaking of the deep space citadels, including the ability to build fortifications in space, something we used to be able to do in Stellaris but has now been added back in this paid DLC, I think is a very essential feature that we've honestly been missing for quite a while. I would have preferred it come in as part of a free patch, but I am glad to get it back nonetheless. And the new species traits definitely add individuality, something we've kind of been lacking for each of the different phenotypes. Now, because you have unique traits only accessible to your phenotype and a couple of others, when you pick a certain portrait look, it will come with mechanical impacts. I think that's really important, not just for roleplay, but for replayability. Now we need to talk about what doesn't work. Unfortunately, the elephant I really need to address here is something that doesn't have that much to do with the DLC itself. Whether or not you purchase this DLC, if you move over to Stellaris 4.0, you're probably going to run into the stability issues that I've been running into while I've been testing out this patch. I have had numerous crashes to desktop, and I've had saves that have gotten to a point where every time it reaches a certain year date, different for each save, the game has been entirely unplayable and will not continue. I do trust the devs are going to be fixing this probably over the next few days and weeks to a point where the game is playable in its entirety again, but for now, it seems like every time you start a game, you're rolling a dice and hoping you'll actually be able to get to the end of it. Add to that bad UI and bad tooltips that leaves some of the economic systems now very confusing and very opaque, and additionally some more bugs that are cropping up now and then in the game with various systems and elements, and it's a bit of an unhealthy picture. Yes, the free patch has brought in a host of new economic changes that have really overhauled a lot of systems, and I suspect that's where a lot of these issues are coming from, but it's definitely disappointing. Personally, I would have hoped that Paradox would have delayed the release of this DLC and patch until it was more stable. Because honestly, in terms of negatives about the actual DLC content, I don't really have that much. I think the civics aren't very powerful from a mechanics point of view, but I do think they are very, very flavorful. I think they're going to add a lot of roleplay ability options to the game, which is actually something people generally want more than sheer power. The origins are fun and unique, the new player crisis is fun and unique, the biological ships are fun, unique, and a different way of playing, and an overhauled genetic ascension is something we have needed for quite a while. And that is why I overall think the DLC is worth it, but Stellaris itself is not in a very stable place at the moment. So it could be worthwhile waiting for a few weeks until this patch is actually oven ready. If, after all of that, you still want to purchase Stellaris Biogenesis, Stellaris Season 9, or anything from Paradox Interactive, you could do so using our affiliate link. I think 12.5% of your purchase will go towards supporting this channel, but please, only use it if you do want to make the purchase. If you enjoyed this video, but you're wondering if you should buy any of the other Stellaris DLC, whether they're worth it, you might want to hear more about Stellaris The Machine Age. If you'd like to watch our review on Stellaris The Machine Age, click the video on screen now.